Every person carries dreams within them, quiet hopes, buried ambitions, and God-given potential waiting to surface. Yet the things that hold us back are often not dramatic events or loud obstacles. They are small, silent habits living beneath our awareness, shaping our beliefs and influencing our decisions. The Bible teaches that the inner life guides the outer path, and sometimes the greatest battles for success happen privately in the mind, heart, and spirit. When we begin to recognize those subtle patterns and filter them through biblical truth, we unlock the freedom to grow, to rise, and to walk into the life God intended for us. There are turning points in life that don't come from dramatic changes or sudden breakthroughs, but from quiet realizations, moments when you finally see a pattern that's been shaping your life without your permission. Many people go years wishing for success, praying for clarity, and hoping for new opportunities, but something invisible keeps holding them back. It's not always laziness or lack of talent. Often, it's the small, silent habits that leave inside the heart, unseen, unchallenged, and slowly steering life off course. One of the most impactful quiet patterns is the tendency to shrink from one's own gifts. People hide what God placed in them, sometimes out of fear, sometimes out of insecurity, sometimes out of misunderstanding what humility really is. Humility isn't pretending you're less capable than you are. It's acknowledging God as the source of your ability while boldly using what He gave you. Yet many choose silence. They stay on the sidelines. They dim their abilities to avoid judgment or criticism. They hesitate to step forward because they don't want to be misunderstood. However, the gifts God placed in someone are not ornamental. They are purposeful. Scripture encourages believers not to neglect the gift inside them, because gifts are meant to be used. When someone stays quiet about their strengths, when they never speak up, never step into their calling, never pursue what they're capable of, they deprive the world of something meaningful and deprive themselves of the success that flows from obedience to purpose. What starts as quiet hesitation can become a lifelong pattern of feeling stuck. Another silent force with powerful influence is fear. Fear often disguises itself as caution or wisdom. It rarely shows up with shouting panic. Instead, it creeps in softly, whispering doubts and presenting worst-case scenarios as if they're guaranteed outcomes. Many people think they're being logical or careful, when in truth they're simply afraid. The Bible's instruction to fear not is repeated so often not because fear is unusual, but because it's common, persistent, and silently disruptive. Fear freezes movement. It convinces someone to delay something they're fully capable of doing. It turns opportunities into dangers and possibilities into threats. Fear tells people to wait for more confidence, more signs, more certainty. Yet none of those things come without taking steps of faith. A person can pray for years, asking God to open doors, while fear keeps them from walking through the ones already open. Fear becomes a quiet barrier, shaping the limits of someone's life without them ever speaking a word. Comparison is another quiet habit that robs people of joy and progress. It doesn't announce itself. It slips into the heart through observation and comparison. Someone sees another person succeeding, and instead of feeling inspired, they feel discouraged. They measure their timeline against someone else's, forgetting that God weaves every story uniquely. The Bible encourages individuals to examine their own work rather than measuring themselves against another person. Comparison shifts focus from purpose to performance, from calling to competition. It can lead someone to chase things that were never meant for them simply because they're trying to keep up. Or it can make them give up altogether because they feel behind. The dangerous thing about comparison is that it distorts perspective quietly. It turns someone's personal path into a race no one wins, and while a person is busy looking at someone else's field, they ignore the seeds waiting to grow in their own. Another silent habit that damages success is procrastination, though few admit it. People often disguise procrastination with excuses like "I'm thinking about it," "I'm planning," or "I'm waiting for the right time." But Scripture warns that delaying necessary work leads to missed harvests. Procrastination is a soft thief that steals dreams by hours, then days, then years. It gives the illusion of comfort but results in frustration. The problem isn't that people lack passion, it's that passion without action evaporates. When someone repeatedly postpones steps that would move their life forward, making the call, seeking the opportunity, finishing the task, they slowly trade their potential for regret. Because procrastination is quiet, it convinces people that they still have time. But the uncomfortable truth is that momentum doesn't wait. A life of delays becomes a life of almost, and almost never leads to success. Even more quietly influential is the inner voice of negative self-talk. People rarely say these things out loud, but they hear them internally. That voice that says they're not good enough, not worthy, not capable, not talented, not lovable, not ready. Scripture tells us that as we think in our hearts, so we become. The thoughts someone entertains long enough eventually shape their beliefs, and their beliefs shape their behavior. A person who believes they're destined to fail will stop trying. Someone who believes they're not valuable will settle for less than they deserve. Someone who believes they can't change will remain the same even when transformation is fully possible. Negative self-talk is subtle but strong. It builds limitations inside a person before life ever has the chance to test them. Even when God opens a door, a person paralyzed by negative inner dialogue might never walk through it because they've already convinced themselves they're unqualified. Changing this internal script requires intentional truth replacing lies with biblical identity, but until that happens, success remains distant. There is also the quiet habit of avoiding wise counsel. Many people don't talk about their dreams or struggles because they fear criticism or vulnerability. They keep everything inside, assuming they must figure out life alone. But Scripture is clear that counsel brings safety, clarity, and success. When someone isolates themselves from guidance, they limit their perspective. They walk in circles that others could have helped them step out of. Many unnecessary mistakes come from refusing to ask for help. The subtle danger is that isolation feels like independence, when in reality, it's often fear disguised as self-reliance. Every person grows faster with mentors, advisors, and supportive voices. When someone avoids counsel, they inadvertently choose confusion over clarity. Hidden resentment is another silent habit that quietly restricts progress. Bitterness doesn't make noise. It settles deep within, often unnoticed. People carry past hurts, disappointments, betrayals, or injustices, believing time will erase the pain. But resentment does not fade with time. It grows roots. The Bible instructs believers to remove bitterness because it corrupts the heart and influences every area of life. A bitter person might struggle to trust again, dream again, or collaborate with others. They may view opportunities through a lens of skepticism. They might sabotage relationships because they fear being hurt again. Resentment drains emotional energy, making the journey toward success feel heavier than it needs to be. Until someone releases what hurt them, they remain tethered to the past, unable to fully step into the future God intends. Another subtle barrier to success is staying quiet when one should speak. Whether it's asking for opportunities, expressing needs, communicating boundaries, or advocating for oneself, many people remain silent because they fear rejection, conflict, or discomfort. Yet Scripture says that sometimes we do not have because we do not ask. Speaking up is not arrogance, it is clarity. When someone fails to voice what they need, they leave potential blessings untouched. Doors remain closed not because they were locked, but because no one knocked. Silence in the moments that require courage leads to lingering frustration and missed opportunities. Success often comes to those who dare to communicate, who trust that their voice matters, and who believe that expressing their needs is part of walking confidently in the identity God gave them. There is also the quiet habit of overthinking. This one feels productive, but often results in paralysis. Overthinking magnifies risks, exaggerates failures, and minimizes strengths. It causes someone to wait for perfect conditions, even though Scripture teaches that those who wait for perfect weather will never plant seeds. Overthinking can turn a small decision into a major roadblock. It can make a person so focused on what could go wrong that they never discover what could go right. Action creates progress, overthinking creates exhaustion. Many dreams die in the mind long before they have a chance to live in reality. The irony is that overthinking gives the illusion of control while actually preventing movement. It whispers caution, but what it often delivers is stagnation. Finally, there is the quiet habit of settling. Settling doesn't always look like giving up. Sometimes it looks like comfort, routine, predictability. But deep down, a person knows when they're living below their potential. They feel a tug inside, a restlessness that whispers there is more. The Bible teaches that God can do exceedingly abundantly above all we ask or think. Yet many never ask or imagine because they believe they don't deserve more. They settle for jobs they don't enjoy, relationships that don't uplift them, routines that don't grow them, and dreams that don't stretch them. Settling is silent because it feels safe, but it becomes a cage that restricts the fullness of God's intention for someone's life. Settling is not peace. It is surrender to limitations that were never meant to define them. The hopeful truth is that every silent habit can be replaced with a new pattern. Once someone becomes aware of the quiet barriers shaping their life, they gain the power to change them. They can step into their gift with boldness, face fear with faith, celebrate others without comparing, replace procrastination with action, challenge negative self-talk with truth, seek counsel with humility, release resentment with forgiveness, speak up with confidence, move forward without overthinking, and refuse to settle for anything less than the life God designed for them. Success begins in the heart long before it shows up in circumstances. And when someone aligns their inner life with biblical wisdom, their outer life begins to flourish naturally.